Hello, my name is Richard Diamond. I am the very proud father-in-law of Kathrine Diamond. And she asked me to sit here today and talk to you about retirement. One of the things she asked is when I started planning my retirement. I'm currently 75 years old. I started planning my retirement at 19. And my wife and I had a conversation. We were married at 19 and 18, as a conversation with a financial planner that was a high school friend of mine's father. And he told me a couple of things about life. And one of them was always live within inside your means. Never get yourself in debt. Back in those days, this is in the 60s and 70s, they didn't have credit cards, so it was easy to stay out of debt. But I understand the difficulty of credit cards today. But live within inside your means. And two is always save 10% of your gross income. Now, gross is that income that is before they take out taxes, before in this country Social Security, before in this country Medicare. That's where the 10% comes. And in today's world, in America, that would be what you would put into a 401k or what you would put into an IRA. And we can talk about that if you have questions about it. But basically, in my life, we started saving. And back in those days, we made a grand total of $6,000 a year, 1969. But we grew, and as we grew in our life, and we would save money on a monthly basis, that 10%, that money paid for our kids' college education. So they didn't go into debt, and we didn't go into debt for them to go to school. And we continued to save always that 10%. And one of the things in life that you will find is when you become a empty nester and your children are now out on their own, as mine are, earning their own money, is you have a whole lot more money to spend than you did when they were at home, because they were part of that live with inside your means. And so we increased our 10% to 25%, and that was in our 40s until we retired at 65. And we put it into later in life because in the early part of our life, there were no such things as 401ks. There were no such things as IRAs. It was just putting money into it. And what we put our money into initially was into a savings account. And we made sure that we had at a minimum in that savings account that is 3 months worth of required income so that we could live off if something went wrong. The other money that we saved, we put into mutual funds, low threat mutual funds. Infidelity was the company we were dealing with. And they grew at 5 and 6% a year. And we just did that for all of our younger life. Now, as we got older and we were working at my second career, my first career was in the United States military for 23 years. And then I worked for a defense contractor for the next 22 years. When in that job, we had a 401k. So my 10% ended up being the money that we put into the 401k. And that went in for 22 years. I am not a high risk taker, so I didn't go into playing the stock market. I probably could have made a lot more money, but I made more than enough that we are pleasantly happy in our retirement. We have no bills. We own our house, and I think everybody can get here if you kind of follow those basic small disciplines in your life. And it's you who does that. No one else can do it for you. You have to make the decision. Now, the other thing Kathrine asked me to talk about is Social Security and Medicare in this country. Currently, in the country, you will pay taxes for Social Security. It's 6.2%. You will also pay taxes for Medicare, which is about 1.5%. And that's every month you're going to pay that. Your Social Security, you can draw it initially at your earliest age is 62, and then you have to take it when you reach 70. If you put it in and you're still working at 62, don't start drawing Social Security. Keep on paying into it. If you decide that you want to take it early, remember that if you take Social Security early, you lose about 40% of the value of your Social Security. I chose to take it at 70, and the difference that I get paid in Social Security from 62 to 70 is $3,000 a month. Now, so putting it into Social Security, it's not going to make you wealthy, but instead of having a paycheck of about $2,000, my paycheck is right at $5,000 in Social Security. And there is a cost of living that goes on with that. So that's one. Two is we've talked about Medicare in this country. Medicare came out in 1967. And it is that you put money into a trust fund, and in that trust fund you draw money out or for medical, and you take Medicare when you turn the age of 65. I paid into Medicare from 1968 until I retired. I retired, but did 2 years as being a consultant. In 2014, so 10 years ago. And I paid $300,000 into Medicare. Now that you would think I would have all this wonderful stuff that goes on in my life and take care of. And honestly, I don't have an issue because all my medical bills are paid for. Don't be surprised that when you are paying Medicare or drawing Medicare, you're paying a monthly fee based on your income. And that monthly fee comes out of your Social Security check. So right now, based on our income, we pay, my wife and I pay $500 each month. Each of us pays $500, so $1,000 a month into Medicare, which is a little disturbing to me because I paid $300,000 in. Now I'm paying $12,000 a year in the medical, and I don't have that many medical bills. So I'm still paying for it, but it's probably good for our society to do that. And that's ostensibly how the system works in the country. Today, 401s and IRAs are very good. There are things that you should put your money into and watch it grow, and it is your money. And there are a couple of IRA that are and 401ks that are non-taxable, and you should look at those. When I retired, they didn't have those yet, but they do now. And that's a really good thing, because if you can draw and you put in $500,000 and you start drawing out $25,000, $30,000 a year out of that account and you don't tax it, that's $40,000. All right, so those are some of the positive things to do. One of the things that I was told after retiring, for retirement, there's not just one thing, a couple things. One is have yourself a plan for 90 to 180 days of things to keep you busy and not to do anything in work. Don't go back in that retirement and say, okay, I'm going to work at something else. Do that. Don't do that. Do something else. Take trips. Build something in your house. Do something that is not work related, so you change your mindset from being a working person to being, okay, I have a different sort of life. So I did that for 90 days in the house that we lived at that time. I became the helper of the carpenter, the guy who was doing it. We built a room off the back of the house. We built in the garage. We built the shed. And those were all things that I always wanted to do in life, and they were a lot of fun and had nothing to do with work. The second thing is my wife and I had a bucket list. And what we did on our bucket list is we wrote down 10 items that we wanted to do. And then when we retired, we compared the list. Now, I'm very fortunate, and I hope everybody is as fortunate as I am. My wife and I had 8 of the same things on the list. So it was easy to choose what we would do. Number 1 on the list was to play golf in all 50 states. We have completed that. Number 2 was to go watch a Major League Baseball game in all the Major League Baseball teams in the United States. We've done that. Number 3 was to travel to every continent on Earth. We're close, but we haven't finished that yet. And we're probably going to change one thing on that. We're not going to Antarctica. That's just too doggone cold. I live in Florida. I don't want snow anymore. I don't have a desire to do that. Then we started doing, on the list is to go to all the national parks within the United States. And there are some beautiful places here. The Grand Canyon, the Canyonlands in Utah, the Badlands in North Dakota, just wonderful places to go see. And we have done about 60% of all of them, so we have more to go. And one of the other things, I'll be very candid, as I have aged, I'm now 75, I was very athletic, I still play golf in my life, but my energy level has reduced. I hate to admit that, but it has, so we're slowing down on those things. Long trips in a car, our long trip is 5 hours. We're not going any more than that. And but those are things, when you plan retirement, it is helpful for how you're going to continue your life if you have a plan. And those are not hard things, but things that people kind of neglect. And I have lots of friends who have neglected that, and they're just not doing as well. And that's a shame. In fact, next month I have to go to a funeral of a friend of mine. And unfortunately, that's one of the things when you get into your 70s that becomes more frequent than you want it to be. Life can be very, very good. And one of the things that Anita and I are able to do is we see our grandchildren, who all but one, which is Kathrine's son, Leon, are all 20 years or older. And they live 7 houses from us, and this is in a plan. So we get to spoil him, and then Kathrine and her husband and my son have to deal with that, with us spoiling them. So, and that's a lot of fun, and we have a great time with that. In fact, they'll be here for dinner tonight, which is our Saturday night ritual, and it's enjoyable to still be doing things in life and helping people and helping your grandchildren. Fortunately, our son and daughter have married good people, and they have good lives, and if they need help, we're here for them, but most of the time they don't. So good luck and enjoy your lives, people.